Hello, everyone. Let me center myself a little here, but welcome to week 6 of AML, because this is going to be a pretty fun match. We got a decider between Mr. Mallows and Team Yippie. Winner goes to playoffs, loser gets eliminated. My name is TokiB, and joining me is Super Brennan. How are you doing this fine evening?
You know, I'm doing great. It was supposed to be kind of messy weather today, and it ended up being all right. And then we get to cap the night off with a wonderful game of League of Legends. And like you said, this is a decider, right? This decides who goes to playoffs, and so we should see some of the best, some of our highest performances from both these teams.
Yeah, and let's introduce these two teams. Over on the left side, we do have Master Mallows coming in. They were part of the Demacia group. They were in 5th place, so they are the lower seed going in. But we have Shibboleth Bjornsson in the top lane, Samexi in the jungle, Yagi in the mid lane, Regis in the bot lane, and Tricky Z. I need to keep reminding myself to say Z instead of Zed for these names. With Jimmy Jam, Codeine, Honor, Hololight, and Solarian coming in as the subs.
And, you know, this team, they haven't had their strongest performance throughout the year, but they've done well enough to get to this point, and they are a fairly well-rounded roster. They're not overly reliant on one position or another to carry when they do take off. So I wouldn't be surprised for them to, you know, try and work on either both the mid lane or the bot lane and give support and jungle attention to both of them.
Exactly. And over on the other side, we do have Team Yippie coming in from the Noxus standings. They are the higher seed for this match. And we have insert best name in the top lane, Dark Lord 70 in the jungle, Fights in mid, Kites in bot, Imto in support, and Trench as their only substitute.
Yeah, and they are, considerably more early ended, I think, especially towards that bot side. You're going to see a lot of threat of kill lanes. I know in solo queue that Kites has been playing a lot of Lucian, a lot of Tristana, and some Kaisa as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some attention paid to try and get them ahead really early on.
Yeah, definitely. But as you can see, we're already in the draft there, and just taking a quick look over at the bans, it looks like EP primarily tried to focus down the jungler, the Guard of the Kindred, and the Wukong alongside the Gwen as well. And Eminem, they are going to ban away the Hui, Corki, and Zac, with Aurora being the first pick.
Yeah, Aurora is actually a really good pick here. Has been meta both as a top laner and as a mid laner. Has lost a lot of that top lane flexibility in recent patches, but still can be flexed if necessary. Though I imagine with the Aurora and the Orianna, we're going to see a pretty standard matchup. But the big thing is that it takes away from fights there on Yippie's mid lane, because he plays a lot of Aurora in solo queue, probably one of the more experienced champs with it in AML, and so it serves double duty, not only getting a strong priority pick for yourself, but also denying that from the other team.
Yeah, they should still be decently happy with the Orianna. It's another champion that a lot of players definitely like to play. It's been quite meta for a while, and they also got Sion in the top, and who I've said it many times at this point. I don't know if you agree, but I still maintain this is by far the strongest tank in the game right now.
The amount of scaling that Sion can get is really gross, but he's not weak early, where people will complain about Dr. Mundo, but Dr. Mundo just doesn't do anything for 6 to 11 levels, and then is a menace to society. Sion can just choose to be a menace at any time, and he's so easy to just throw on weak side. And like I said, start paying attention to this bot lane, which we haven't seen any draft targeted towards it yet. But I imagine there's going to be some, very high octane plays down there. We already have the J4 for Master Mallow. I'm wondering what the response is here for Yippie.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. They did lock in the Ambessa and the Jarvan for Eminem, and looks like they know you're on broadcast, so they are going to be hovering over the Poppy there. And okay, professional opinion. Do you think this is going to the jungle, or do you think they might hold this as a support?
So it does hold the flex, but it's so valuable here as a jungle pick. Not only does it match up well into the J4 and just prevent him from ever doing any ganking, but it can shut down not only the Ambessa if you choose to gank top, if you choose to set up, kind of a surprise play. Just because you can weak side the Sion does not make him a slouch if you choose to strong side him. And actually, it can shut down the Aurora, specifically her W and E jumps actually do get canceled by Steadfast Presence, which makes her easier to gank, and you can turn some early attention into that mid lane. Orianna is a bit of a lane bully with that passive getting the stacking damage on the autos, so I would imagine we're going to see that Poppy go into the jungle.
Now we'll see exactly where they do choose to bring this in, but we are seeing the next phase of bans, and kind of like expected, everyone's targeting out that bot lane. Yippie banning out the Nico support. Master Mallows banning out the Xayah. And I believe you said this before when we were talking about our prep or scouting for these teams. They do really like their hard scaling AD carries. And with the current meta, Xayah probably would be one of the better ones.
Xayah would be one of the better ones, especially, you see the Poppy, see the Sion, it would be able to be dived out. But on the other side, look at the amount of dive that Master Mallow have. Even though Yippie tend to prioritize a more early game centric style of AD carry, Xayah just had too much value to leave up on the board. So it makes a lot of sense that we're seeing it banned out that way. And then we see the Yunara as the return ban, and that makes quite a lot of sense. I know that, Master Mallow's AD carry Rajis has had a lot of success on the Yunara, both in AML and in solo queue.
Yeah, for sure. And Sivir going to be the final ban, and it looks like we're gonna get the Kaisa locked in here for Yippie. I'm not sure how I feel about this, because I know Kaisa can play front to back, but typically you'd want to dive in the backline, and I don't know if Master Mallows are the kind of team you're going to be diving.
That That is super true. I think this is just a comfort pick. I know that Kites has played it multiple times this year. A lot of times they look really, really good. I actually wouldn't be surprised to see we had another thing that we had talked about prior to starting the broadcast is that we could see the Karma be a contested pick. It is something that both supports play, and it pairs really well if you do want to do this kind of kill lane setup. And the Kai'Sa does get extra value actually with the Poppy on your side because you no longer have to worry about getting stopped mid-ultimate. That ultimate is a dash. You are not unstoppable during it. And so it's kind of a little freer to pick here. Obviously, like you said, does not have the ability to quite dive the enemy backline, doesn't, especially into what we're seeing as well, especially if that Braum does come through. Going to be really, really tough. Can front to back, but when they do that, you want to see more of a tank shredder Kai'Sa. So I imagine this is mostly just a comfort pick.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not a bad pick, and I think they do have a lot of damage from the rest of their team. Orianna definitely needs some time to get those damage items up, especially if you're going the Roa Seraphs build. But Cyan and Poppy are no slouches. They're going to be dealing a lot of damage, and we were actually talking about this because there was the Hail of Blades change, and I actually forgot, but there is a niche Poppy build where you go lethality with Hail of Blades. I have seen that pop up a little bit in solo queue, and it deals damage, let me tell you.
Oh, I loved there was a brief stint when Poppy support kind of came back into the meta that she was running Hail of Blades with the Spellblade item, the Spellblade support item in the bot lane, and just dealing ridiculous damage starting at like level 6 or 7 when she got that like full item online and got some like AD in her pocket, even if she built tank the rest of the game. So it is possible, but with like what we're seeing on M&M, there's no one I really imagine you're blowing up with a kind of lethality Hail of Blades build. Yeah. Maybe if you can get onto the Jinx, but this Poppy really wants to sit in the middle of the team fight and control space to let the Orianna and the Kai'Sa slowly whittle down the enemy team. Wouldn't those be surprised to see the Bard maybe build into a damage item and not just straight enchanter tank like he usually does, just to, you know, again, play around that extra kill pressure in that bot side when you have the Kai'Sa.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see exactly how they do decide to build this up, but for now, we are going to be heading over to a short spectator delay, and when we come back, we're going to be heading right into game number 1, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back soon. And we are live with game number 1 between Master Mallows and Team Yippie for the deciding match of the Runeterra group. And looks like both sides just going to be starting out with the standard 5-point defense. Gonna just take a little bit to see where they're going to go with it.
Yeah, no one has an exceptionally strong level 1 outside of the Braum, so I would have, maybe thought there was an angle in there for some early fighting. And as I say that, we do get a little bit of scuffling, but I don't think there's going to be anything serious.
Well, you say that, but now there's 3, and the devastating smash is going to come through, and they're just stunned up by intro. This should just be a clean 2-0, and Team Yippie gonna start out pretty strong.
The caster curse of the century. Surely we're not going to see anything serious, but we just walk into the enemy jungle when they've got, the Scion who just started to immediately give over 2 kills and into the solo laners to boot. That's exactly what you want to see. Puppy honestly doesn't care that much about that kill gold, and is going to be more than happy just to start out with that slight lead.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to help a lot. Like you said before, Scion, still a scaling champ, so giving him a little bit of early gold, giving him that little bit of early advantage, it's really going to add up. It's really going to help. And same thing with fights. This is typically a champion that builds more scaling, so whenever you're able to start that scaling faster, you're able to get more value out of it sooner.
Yeah, going to immediately just take what they can get. You can see they have already opted for the Sapphire Crystal, going to allow them to poke out their opponent more in lane, get that extra value with the extra mana. And as for the game state, while it's not going to overall shift that much, I think we're going to see some small amounts of impact in the lanes, people being able to clear through faster. Obviously, Aurora and Mbessa are probably going to hold their own into their lanes. But what I do think is that M&M is going to just take their foot way off the gas. I think that was a bit of a wake-up call, and this is only a best of 3. You can't afford to come out here slow.
Yeah, definitely not, especially to the composition they're into. You have Jarvan, you have Mbessa. You kind of want to make plays happen earlier rather than later, especially into the Poppy. She is a massive stat stick, as we all know, as we've seen over in Worlds, as very heavy trading over on the top side. It's her best name did get a kill in that level 1 exchange, but didn't really have the time to go back and actually spend it. So for now, does not have that initial lead that we would expect.
Yeah, just gonna be sitting on that Dorian shield, which was nerfed slightly last patch to make that sustain a little bit less unbearable, but still going to be more than fine into the Mbessa. We might see some attention paid here to the bot side. We thought that there might be some early attention. You can see the J4 pathing over.
Yeah, Smexy is pathing over, but was spotted out on a ward, and now Dark Lord 70 also in the area. It looks like there might be a little bit of a fight over crabs, but Smexy does not want to contest it. Just going to be giving it over, so another small victory going over to Yippie.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see Smexy just try and run up towards that top side and try and secure that crab, or at least secure a gank in the mid lane.
Smexy going to be looking towards the mid lane. Fights is just standing strong and trying to fight it back, and instead Yagi going to be flashing forward. No mana left anymore as Fights still low HP. Do they have the damage to take down either of these two before they go forward? The flash from Imto not going to be able to land the Cosmic Binding, so everything said and done, it's just going to be a couple summoners traded. Although Smexy, you may want to step away from this crab as well. I don't think you're allowed to walk forward for that one.
Yeah, that's the ultimate price that ends up being paid. Both mid laners go, oh my, this could be dangerous for Kites. Just barely outsteps the range there. The price that is ultimately going to be paid is that mid lane crab, but it actually goes over to the side of Master Mallow because they are able to rotate their top laner down, and they just don't have the HP on the mid laner there for Yippie. So no harm, no foul to the largest extent, except for all of those summoners that are lost. But it was a pretty messy play, and it's not necessarily what you want to see. Whichever team wins, we want to see them coming out here and playing competitive today. My goodness, some brawling in the top side.
Yeah, it's her best name, forced to flash away after staying just a little bit longer to get that final cannon minion, but will get shoved away because of it. And there's no TP, so this time around, it's her best name going to be forced to walk up to the top lane. Hard to see what the wave state was, but I do believe that very best case scenario for insert best name, still going to be missing almost a full wave.
Yeah, kind of gets punished for overstaying a little bit there. Wanted to secure that cannon, but is now finally able to capitalize on the gold that they got from that initial kill. And you can see here that they opted to turn it into the call. You can see a couple of the stacks having gone down the last time. And that call is definitely signifying to me that this is going to be a very, very weak-sided Scion. We're going to see a lot of attention paid towards this bot lane to mid lane.
Yeah, and we are seeing a little bit of it right now as Yippie gonna be forced to jump over that dragon pit wall. And they're not starting it right now, but they do have the priority over in the bot lane. I think Fights does have some priority over in the mid lane, though is missing that level 6 that Yippie has already gotten. So overall, the Dragon's still gonna stand strong. Neither team really feeling confident to start it yet.
Yeah, neither team wants to quite start it. A lot of that, early advantage that Yippie had has been kind of neutralized by this stage of the game. No more major plays have actually gone through. Obviously, there was that mid lane attempt, but nothing really happened there. Nothing ever happens. And in that bottom lane, jungle, there just hasn't been enough advantage for that bot side to start up that dragon, especially with the damage they currently deal.
Yeah, definitely not. And maybe they'll try and make a bit more of an aggro play later on, but I think in general, if you're Regis and Tricky Z, you're pretty happy just trading back and forth with these minions, because eventually this Jinx is probably going to outscale the Kai'Sa. That's just the nature of the Jinx, one of the hardest scaling AD carries in the entire game. So overall, I think this does favor Master Mallows.
Yeah, they're perfectly fine just sitting back and waiting to scale into late game. It's something that Master Mallows has done quite a few times this season. They've played similar concepts with the Sivir a few patches ago when Sivir was like the dominant AD carry. And so I wouldn't be, terribly surprised to see them just continue to play, this very high passivity style, even seed a couple of objectives. But the longer you wait to make these plays onto the objectives, the more you're giving up here as Yippie, because once that first dragon is taken, at this stage, the Void Grubs are going to be up as well. And trading the Void Grubs for the dragon is a perfectly fine, acceptable trade. But if you get it started early enough, you can take the dragon and not have to give anything in return.
Yeah, we'll see if they are able to do that. Really, realistically, on either side at this point. But we are seeing a potential play coming towards that mid lane. Smexy looking for fights, and they're just going to pop all their ultimate fights in the middle of everything. Shockwave is going to come through. No flash available. Zooming a Death Rocket almost lands, but will not find its way. And it looks like Yippie almost going down with the flash forward. Dark Lord 70 going to get the third kill of the game for Yippie, and that's going to be the feats of warfare.
Yeah, that's the punishment for that Aurora for not having the flash after that previous play. And they used everything there trying to get fights, but just didn't have the damage. Fights able to get that self-shield off. They almost gave the kill over to Regis with that super mega death rocket, but were well out of the way by the time it arrived. And there you go. That's a good starting play for Yippie, who are going to want to continue to push that lead, having secured one of the sets of feats. They're going to try and push for more. They have started up that dragon. You can see Poppy on the map. There it goes down. So they've got their first feat of monster slaying. And like I said, very critically, have not given up anything in return, because J4 was forced to just immediately go into his bot side and clear, not wanting to risk doing those Void Grubs without his mid laner up.
Yeah, and Regis and Tricky Z were so low that they were just kind of forced to give full priority over to Kites and Imtuo. So with that, it's just kind of a bit of a free objective for them, as their best name, doing what every Scion loves to do, just hide in a bush, throw out that decimating smash. Still gonna get traded back decently hard, because Ambessa is a fun champion, but I think that's one of my favorite things to do whenever I do get autofilled to the top, and just pick Scion, hide in bushes, and hope someone walks into me.
Yeah, just sit there, hide on bush, pull the faker solo Q name, and just wait with a Q, and it works to a treat, because they have no clue it's coming until it's already too late, and it does a bit of damage even if you are behind on Zion. And so it's a good way just to start it, throw it out, and then set a slightly advantaged lane state for yourself. Now, those Void Grubs are started. I believe they've already killed one. I wonder if Yippie is going to contest or if they're happy just to give these over.
No, it looks like they are going to contest, and not even contest. It looks like they're just going to straight up get him. The rest of M&M, they're just going to back away, so they will be able to steal away one grub, which will make a difference for later pushes, but still going to be 2 grubs going over to Team Yippie, unless the Super Mega Death Rocket steals one. Doesn't look like it did. And it will also give them that second tick over for that feat of monster slaying. So Yippie's early game starting to slowly build up.
Yeah, tough a break there for M&M. Thought they could get it started up, clear out some of those grubs pretty quickly. Only able to grab the one before Yippie just essentially makes their presence known and lets M&M decide what they want to do. They just show on the map, and immediately Master Mallows is
execution in the top side, looking for the dive, but Unstoppable Onslaught almost buys enough, but it's still going to be a solo bolo in the top side going to Shiva Bjornsson.
That's the power of that Ambessa, able to just snap engage when they think it's advantaged, and especially with the shield from that W, is able to find a lot of value and able to pick up at least some gold there for Master Mallows. But like you said, they're kind of falling behind here in this early game. Again, they do have a very hard scaling carry in that bot side, so they're never quite out of it, but you need to be careful giving up too much. You know, the big thing I want to harp on is up until the Ambessa kill in that top side, when they gave over those Void Grubs, they didn't get anything in return, right? It wasn't like they were getting some top side plates or some bottom side plates in return for that. They just essentially had to cede the space and went back to farming their own jungle.
Yeah, for sure. And even with that kill that they got in the top side, Insert Best Name TP'd up and took 2 plates. So most of that solo kill gold already getting evened out now. Shiva Bjornsson will still have TP available for later, so could look to get something back later on, as the dragon is spawning in a minute and a half. But it's still just showing how even all their little victories just kind of get traded back.
Yeah, it's the gold lead has not grown for Yippie, but it has not really shrunk. They're still sitting at just under 1,000 gold lead, which isn't, you know, ridiculous here at this stage, but it gives them these slight advantages, especially when you consider that their comp is a little stronger earlier on, you know, across the board. And that's allowing them to play a lot more confidently around these things. Now, J4, you know, Smexy is able to get in with a little sneaky buff steal there.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, able to take something back, and still has most of their own topside to clear out, as Dark Lord 70 really only has the Krugs right now. Currently sitting at an 11 CS lead on the side of Dark Lord 70, but that is going to get evened up a little bit right now. There is a full clear basically getting built up right now for Smexy. Will be pathing down towards the bot side, so should be able to finish it just as the dragon spawns. Maybe that could be an opportunity for Master Mallows to try and get something done.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see what they're willing to pull the trigger on. You can see that Fights was able to just roam down there to the bot side, just make sure to relieve pressure. They didn't have any, you know, real obligation to stay in the mid lane. And we are seeing the good damage. It's forcing the Master Mallows bot lane to mostly play pretty passive, but a lot of good damage being taken there. A great trade for the Mallows bot lane. That's gonna force Yippie back up a little bit.
Yeah, and if one more auto did come through from Regis, the concussive blows would have procced, and Kites would have been in genuine danger there. As now Hipto just going to take a magical journey just to dodge one.
Both of them? That is...
Yeah, but now they're looking towards the mid lane. They are going to force the flash again from Fights, but not going to be able to get that kill. Unfortunately, that second gank was 5 minutes after. So Fights just going to be safe again, and they're going to lose between worlds for this dragon fight.
Yeah, do not have the ultimate, but they can try and use, you know, the invisibility across the veil, trying to get in and get some cheeky damage out. And the Bard is fairly low, opting to run that electrocute build, trying to get that extra pressure in the lane. But it doesn't really matter. The comp of Yippie is just so much stronger here. They're always in position for these neutral objectives, or at least willing to show and kind of almost just intimidate check Master Mallows down and say, hey, you guys can try and fight us right now when we're a dragon up, you know, 1,000 gold up, or you can just give us the space and figure out your own time. And Master Mallows, you know, don't really want the smoke, at least not yet.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised about that. They did have Cataclysm available. They know Fights and Imtua were both decently low at less than half HP. And Regis had the full completed Kraken Slayer at that point, which, interesting enough on its own, it's not the Yuntal. It is going to be the first item Kraken Slayer coming in on the Jinx, but I think that could have been a great moment for them to fight. I'm a little bit disappointed that they chose to give it up.
Yeah, but now here we might see something in the bot lane.
Yeah, looking over towards it. They're going to turn their attention back towards Kai's going to get the Cataclysm and the Glacial Fissure fight. Still trying to survive, but now you're going to get jumped into the wall, and that's going to be first kill going over to Dark Lord 70. Regis also getting run down. Do not underestimate the stat stick that is Poppy. Dark Lord 70 on a double kill so far, looking for Tricky Z. No flash, no heal remaining. Might just slowly but surely get whittled down by this Poppy. As now still looking for that heroic charge. One more hit, and Dark Lord 70 with a triple kill in the bottom lane. And outside they're going to be turning their attention over to Kites. But the flash is going to bring him back to safety. Almost gets taken down by the twofold hexes. Now Imto going to be the one in danger. But Dark Lord 70 looking for that unofficial cross map pen. Already gets one more kill. Oh, but no, there is the shield. Shima Byangsson trying to get away. Heroic charge gonna be enough. And that's an unofficial penta at 16 minutes. What?
My goodness, Poppy. I think people underestimate the damage from a modern Poppy. They're so used to seeing, you know, the old school build where you were dropping a bunch of movement speed tank items. You're getting the Dead Man's Plate. You were getting the magic resist item that does the same thing that no one builds anymore, whose name I cannot remember. And, you know, it's not that case. Poppy now goes the same thing as every other jungler in the Sundered Sky, and it does a lot of damage.
Yeah, but now Dark Lord 70 gonna be taken down low. Will be able to get the smite, so no steal coming out of Smexy yet, but is in danger. Has the flash to get away. Will force out a little bit of something from the Jarvan. Not gonna be enough so far. And yeah, they're just gonna take the Rift Herald and get back out of safety. Only losing the flash on the Poppy, but they do have Hex Flash, so not the worst thing to lose.
Yeah, I mean, you lose the Poppy's flash. Oh well, you got a Rift Herald for it. You got 5 kills across there without needing to use it. So not that big of a deal. Now we're going to see the Dead Man's Plate come out, and this allows Poppy to just beat an absolute menace. Not only are they faster, that initial auto attack is going to do so much bonus damage.
Is in a little bit of a wonky area. Voidseeker not going to be able to land with slightly mistimed, and now Regis looking to trade back a little bit, but low on mana, and there is going to be that extra heal coming out of Imtua. Oh, but now, meanwhile, with the bot side, Public Execution going to land onto Kites. There is still a turn, but Fights needs to be able to get to it. Trying to buy some time, trying to buy a little bit of space with the command Shockwave. Will be able to do just that.
Yeah, Fights overextends a little bit, is, you know, essentially loses the entirety of that ult, and the command Shockwave is very
Unstoppable Onslaught in the top side, but there is still Between Worlds available, and it's just going to be a trade of ultimates going on at the top side. No one really worse for wear there.
Yeah, a complete mirror across the rift there. Both top laners using their ultimate to engage onto the opposing mid laner, and the opposing mid laner using their ultimate to then escape from that and run back to their tower. So a very net neutral play, but now it is Fights under tower alone. Does not have the shockwave.
Yeah, and they will have the Cataclysm coming through. Fights just trying to buy a little bit of time, but will get shut down. But can they trade back here? Dark Lord's here, Imto's here, and Kites. Tricky's going to be the first target. Will be able to buy some time with the Glacial Fissure, but one is down. They grounded the other. Shima Byangsson all alone. 1v3 trying to take Kites down, but Kites will still be able to get that kill. So it's a 2-for-1, but that is an objective bounty taken by M&M.
They got the objective bounty, and unfortunately for Dark Lord, got caught by the flag and drag, trying to get in there and use the W to prevent such a thing from occurring. And could have had another kill, but they get a tower in the top side.
Gonna be in a very bad spot. Heroic charge not even gonna be used. They're just gonna use the Keeper's Verdict, and that's an extra pick over in the mid lane, as tier 2 in the top lane was taken. But insert best name has ultimate coming up soon. Ensemble Onslaught almost there. Needs to buy a little bit more time. Will get it with the decimating smash, but instead looking to position more forward. Soul Furnace is going to get popped and might just trade it back, and it's going to be a kill. Insert best name finding one in a 1v3 scenario, and just gonna walk away. What an insane play. This is what I mean. Sounds just too good right now.
he just aura farmed them. He just was like, no, listen. Yeah, you don't want to kill me. I killed one of your guys. You don't have the damage. I'm just going to walk out. Do you want to waste the time trying to kill me? You're going to go do your blue buff, all right? Look, we don't want to fight. It's cool. And that's just the power of Sion when he's ahead, because like we said, he has that massive scaling, but no stop on his own. And when given all of these resources, is able to just mow through the opposing lane. And as you can see, he has done so. A massive gold disparity kind of across the board here. And it all really starts, I think, with that Poppy has been so proactive, hitting all sorts of different areas on the map and able to get plenty of kills and assists in exchange. Has almost perfect kill participation.
Yeah, now we're going to be seeing a little bit of trading between these top laners, and Ambessa typically wins out quite hard into Sion, but with the items, with the gold lead, it looks like Yippie is doing a lot better, as I believe Bjorkson did briefly disconnect, so that's what we saw earlier on, but still trying to get away. Unstoppable Onslaught is going to be up soon, but not necessarily the easiest target to hit, but still going to attempt it. But with the extra shield, might be able to back away, and Smexy is going to be here, flash forward, trying to find the play, but still not enough damage. One final auto, and Insert Best Name will be able to get that kill on the ship of Bjorkson. And in the meanwhile, Otacon is going to be going down for EP as well. Why not?
Yeah, you know, Yippie needed more value on the map, and it's just insane because you're looking at the side of Master Mallows. They might be looking for more here in the mid lane.
Looking for Regis, and Kite going to dive into the backline. May have dove a little bit too far. Will flash over the wall, and now just free hitting over top. Regis still trying to get the damage on Kite, super low, but we'll be able to back away for now. Fights is now going to be here, and it looks like with that, M&M, they're just gonna back away. They don't want this fight.
They don't want this fight, but they might not have a choice. Yippie is going forward here.
Flashing forward. Keeper's running on 2-3. And now Regis is super low. Drink, he's still going to survive. They only get one, but look at the priority that they built up for themselves in the mid lane.
My goodness, you said they didn't want the fight, but they just weren't given a choice. Yippie are ruthless going forward here, just taking every advantage they can. They know that Master and Mallow still have that scaling option. Jinx is never, ever out of the game, but you can't let them get back in, and they are continuing to press every lead they can find. Now up nearly 10K. They are not giving anything over. They are taking no prisoners in the process.
No, definitely not. And just a little personal bias here. I was favoring Team Yippie slightly, just because I did think that they were just slightly stronger in the season. I did not think any of these games would be this level of blowout. Now, as I say that, the game hasn't ended yet, but M2 are still going to be looking for plays and will force the flash from Yagi there, just with a Tempered Fate. But this is what I mean. Team EP, they're just playing so aggressively, so confidently. Every time I try to talk about anything that isn't the game, they immediately find a way to pull the trigger.
Yeah, they're constantly using their pressure to just get little bits of resources, right? If you're trading Tempered Fate for a flash, that's huge.
They're looking for kites right now. Flash forward, and Cataclysm not even going to be used quite yet. And now Smexy just all alone. Imto going to be targeted down instead. But again, with the magical journey, just able to get back to safety. They're trying, but they just can't find anything.
Yeah, unfortunately, they need really surefire plays to make things happen. And the nature of the beast is that they're just very struggling to find it. You know, if they don't proc all of those, you know, Braum passive, if they don't get a bunch of that burst, Kai'Sa's just gonna run away. She's pretty good at doing that, and the Bard enables it, and the Poppy enables it, and there's just really very little way for M&M to try and look for these picks, because they're constantly spending resources defensively, so they don't have their flash on their mid laner to try and make that play go through. They don't have their, you know, ultimate on their on their Jinx to make that play go through. And so what happens is when they're constantly spending little bits of resources, because Yippie are making them spend, they can't cash in when they do finally find a mistake from Yippie.
All right, Super Ben. So I do have a question for you with regards to all this. As hold that thought, Dark Lord 7 is just going to be going in instead. They're looking for more. They will get the Temper Fate in the backline. It's just going to be Smexy all alone, 1v3, and now Kite's going to be going in with a Killer Instinct, and it's going to be 2-0 so far. How much more can they find? Unstoppable Onslaught will lock down Tricky Zed, and Tricky Z going to be going down there, and now Keeper's Verdict on a register. They're just going to kill 4. My question doesn't even matter anymore. It's a 4-0 for Yippie.
Yeah, and they've got their choice of anything on the map. Baron's up, Dragon's up, Towers are up. They can go pick any sort of path forward. They're gonna go ahead and start the Baron and the Dragon. They've split up their forces because of what are Master Mallow going to do? Yes, they have a couple of people up in just a moment, but they can only stop one objective. They can concentrate and try and run towards that Dragon or try and run towards that Baron, but either way, they're probably too late for both.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a very good spot to be in for Team Yippie. And my question was going to be, now should Team Yippie focus on securing the Dragon, or focusing on the Baron, or focusing on trying to break the base, or which combination of those three should they do? But they just get themselves a clean team fight, grab everything, and I'm sure they're going to go right for the base now. So Team Yippie, they're going to try to win the game here.
Yeah, this is really good high tempo play. They've only given up 2 kills the entire game, and they're not letting any lull states. There's no free time to farm. There's no free time, to try and neutralize bad play. Like I said, they're paying attention. They want to win the game fast, and this is how you do it. Once you take one lead, once you get one resource out, it's very cerebral to know what to punish and when to do it, and they're just utilizing that pressure very fabulously. They're moving forward very effortlessly and just going through and picking at the weak parts of M&M, forcing them to spend a resource here, a resource there. That means they get this free objective. A resource here, a resource there. They get a free Dragon.
But instead, they're going to be looking for a play. Temper Fate going to land onto Dark Lord 70 and Yang at the same time. And in the backline, insert best name going to show up. They've already cleared away 3. They're going to clear away 4. Shimo Byongston going to be the only survivor, just pretending they don't see what's going on behind them. And I don't blame them. It is going to be Team Yippie walking in 22-2, and they're going to win a game 1 in a resounding victory.
That is just an amazing, a master class. The book of how to win in early game composition, some of the like early game strategy, a team that wants to focus around taking a lead and playing aggressive. That's like the textbook on it. They just wrote a university lecture and delivered it in your laps. It's finals week, guys. Wake up. It's no more time to study. You have to answer the questions on the test. And guess what? They got them all right.
Yeah, and I mean, one question I always have for these teams that are in the deciders going into the playoffs is, winning the decider usually isn't enough. You want to be able to get into the playoffs later on, and you want to actually be able to compete. And the way Team EP is playing right now, I see no reason why they can't compete with the top teams right now, because they're looking pretty good.
Yeah, I also love the nature of the way the graphs are.
Yep.
That Mbessa and Sion outdamaged Mbessa, but no one else on Mbessa's team did any damage, whereas kind of everyone on the side of Team Yippie did a lot of damage. I mean, even the Bard was getting in on the action, out damaging everyone besides that Mbessa, and just a complete and effortless control of the entire map state. They never relinquished the pace. They never stepped it down. And I gotta say, that starts with your jungler. Dark Lords, had such a good game. And why I'm happy about that. I love Poppy as a champion. So much flexibility and so much strength for such a fairly simple kit. If you know how to utilize it in the right hands, is so powerful. So hats off to the jungler there. They did it for one game, just one more, and they can advance to the playoffs.
Exactly. Well, we're going to have to see if they are going to be able to get that second win and go straight to the playoffs with a 2-0, or if the Master Mal is going to be able to bring us back and take us to a game 3. We are going to go to a short break, but before we do that, got to give our quick shout out over to Zen Market. And Zen Market is your one-stop solution for buying products directly from Japan. They'll help you buy items from over 10,000 shops in Japan, as well as place bids on auctions on your behalf. They'll even consolidate all your items safely into one box and can ship internationally. They provide excellent customer service in 19 languages, which is why Zen Market is trusted by over 2 million users worldwide. Check the panel below the stream or click the link in the chat to try them out now. And if you sign up with the promo code Aegis, you'll get 1,000 yen off your first international shipping fee. And on top of that, if you decide to make a purchase on Zen Market, be sure to use code Aegis25 to get 25% off your first purchase. Thank you to Zen Market, and we'll see you after the break.
日本国内発送のみ？あ、それなら全マーケットね。
すごい迷宮だ。あの商品はどこに？あそこだ。でもどうすれば。おわ、わかった。よっと。はっ。うん。はっ。よし。
ありがとう、全マーケット。
function and like stuff like that, because the original. What? You switched? Are we live?
We might be live allegedly. So hello,
allegedly.
No. Welcome back, everyone. We're already in the draft for game number 2 between Team Yippie. Looks to go 2-0 here and advance into the top 16 for the playoffs. Master Mallows, of course, going to be trying to get back in and take us to a game 3.
Yeah, Master Mallows gonna do, something we had talked about with your jungler, which is just lock Wukong on game 1 blue, on blue 1, just a priority pick because he kind of wins in everything. No real problem with that. On the flip side, though, the Trundle, a kind of good deterrent pick, trying to make sure perhaps that Master Mallows do not drop any, big tanks in the top lane that the Trundle can abuse. And the Ashe, while not necessarily that early game carry that EP likes to rely on, does have that early game potential that they do like to utilize a lot of that early game fighting. Is more utility focused than they usually run.
Yeah, meanwhile, on the other side of it, we are seeing the Varus getting locked in. Also has some utility as well. It's not quite as long range as the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, but the Chain of Corruption can definitely help start fights, can definitely help turn things around. And especially when you're into a Trundle, sometimes just having that one extra tool helps out a lot.
Yeah, wondering to see if they're going to lock in their support alongside of their ADC or if they're going to save it. Varus is a pretty flexible carry, doesn't necessarily need a specific support to enable him. And if that is the Ahri to come through, and it will be super again, their draft is very flexible. Master Mallows have not really locked into anything specifically, but on the flip side, a really quick Mel lock in, and I think that they know as well as I do that Mel is just really nasty into the Ahri, can just completely shut down any game plan.
Yeah, I mean, your main way of starting out those fights is the charm. She's just gonna reflect that, and that's it. You're basically not gonna be able to trade backwards as the Ahri, so definitely gonna make things a lot harder, at least for the mid lane. Obviously, Ahri can definitely still roam with that Spirit Rush, and might kind of be forced to because of the matchup.
Yeah, because of the matchup, indeed. I think his genuinely one of Ari's most oppressive matchups, and it gets extra value here because that Chain of Corruption you were talking about, that extra tool that they might be able to use, can get very quickly turned back on them. And so we're going to see some different ban strategies here. The support being heavily focused, not wanting to give something that can engage onto the Ashe very quickly, letting that Ashe buy time to kite backwards and do what they need to do. Meanwhile, two different bans, both the Seraphine looks like it's coming through here, and the Ornn is banned there for Master Mallows.
Yeah, I mean, Seraphine makes a lot of sense, has a lot of natural synergy with the Ashe. Basically, always makes the beat drop a guaranteed route, as long as you hit a volley or any kind of auto attack at all from the Ashe. As you're talking about the Karma in game number 1, Ashe Karma, quite oppressive as well in its own right. We'll have to wait to see if they do lock it in, but yeah, gonna be a pretty impressive bot lane here.
And that makes a lot of sense with the Leona ban, with the Nautilus ban. There's not a lot of like supports left that can offer that pressure, especially not with the Varus, who, you know, regardless of going on hit, you know, AP, which has been his weakest build generally, or if you go that lethality Varus, you need some time to really get that damage going. He's not super, you know, valuable at those early levels. And so, you know, getting rid of those supports that can weather that storm, that can, you know, try and fight back, means that Master Mallow's best option here, they're going to go with the Nico, and that does give their team huge, big combo potential, right? You can drop Pop Blossom plus Cyclone plus, you know, the Chains of Corruption there and try and just blow up their team before they get a chance to move. But it's going to be a really tough sledding in lane, because that Nico, while she can go in and try and get some good trades, she's probably going to get traded back really hard, and it's going to be difficult for her to get back out.
Yeah, and we're seeing a blind Camille pick locked in B5 right now for Master Mallows. That's a very interesting pick, but you were talking about their potential wombo combo. I think that makes a lot of sense, because if you look over at Team Yippie, they're not really tanky. Even Trundle, kind of more of that bruiser than true tank, doesn't really have anyone to steal those stats from either, because Master Mallows also not super tanky in their own right. And I'm wondering if that's why they picked the Camille, because they know they kind of do want to pick someone tankier, but we're gonna have a Riven Camille matchup.
We talked about this. Oh, I have it in my notes. Like, let it be known right here.
Let's hear it.
I have that She-Ball for Marshmallow, or for Master Mallow, does not ever get to play this Riven. They play a bunch of Riven, and they never gonna play it because it's perma banned. But obviously Master Mallow's never gonna ban it, and so Yippie says, sure, we feel like it's good, we're gonna take it. Even if we lose this game, you still don't get to play Riven coming in the future games. And so it's a really, really good pick here for a couple of reasons. And I think that the Camille, generally, if the Riven is good enough, is gonna have a lot of struggle to just pin down and deal with that. And so neither team is very squishy. This is gonna be an explosive, volatile game.
Now, before we do go to break, I have one final question for you, because like you said, everyone is super squishy and super volatile. Where do these junglers go level 1? Where do you think they will be pathing towards?
Okay, so if I'm Yippie, I know that I have a lot of value here in this bot lane. They can set up ganks of their own accord with the tether combined with the slow from Ashe's just general being Ashe. But if I'm that top side, that Camille does have very high burst damage. If we can lock down, you know, if around level 6, maybe with the Cyclone, if we can lock down that Riven, we might have a chance to get that kill. So either if I'm the Master Mallows jungler, I'm either looking top lane, but also mid lane, because Mallow, while she is oppressive into Ahri alone, doesn't really have any tools to deal with Wukong.
Now, what we're going to have to see exactly how these junglers do go forward, and we're also going to see how this top lane matchup goes.